Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, to your monthly peace report for Libra season 2022, appropriately titled The Final Balance. Oh, yeah. This is your host, the Peace Dealer, and we're going to explore very powerfully the mechanics of this Libra season that we are taking a part of. This is going to hit more impactfully than I think any Libra season we've had since 2008. And I think that the real reward or the true reward that you'll be gaining from this Libra season is a full on definition and expression of your true self, and evolution of how you take your true self and break through in every single relationship you have as this ascended version of you, or as your true self. Okay, this is going to trigger, not surprisingly, more true expressions from other people, while also not surprisingly putting you into conflict with other people who have issue with your true self, mainly because they're either super fake or they live a lie, and or they live a lie. Okay, because everyone's gonna awaken superpowers. Some people are gonna be super real, some people are gonna be super fake. But in all seriousness, um this is what brings us to the second boss battle, in that as we break through the individual conflicts or the collective conflicts that impact us individually, we now take this to the social arena so that appropriately we can break through. Balance. Okay. The definition of balance, as we see here, is an even distribution of weight, enabling someone or something to remain upright and steady. Definition 2, we have a condition in which different elements are equal or in the correct proportions. Okay. We also have this as a verb, to keep or put something in a steady position so that it does not fall. Or with the second definition, offset or compare the value of one thing with another. And I think what's very important to establish that you'll see in this season is, given the remarkable evolution of your own character, you're also coming ahead with certain social normative expectations and projections at your character, which are not true at all, which are not based in reality, and really more so based in people's prejudice and just stupid opinions. Of course, what makes those opinions stupid are how blinded and mired by prejudice and pride, and once again, other such facets of their imagination that are not based at all in reality, but really more so about how the truth of your character threatens the falsity of their lifestyle objectively. Okay. And this is going to apply the change of perspective around how people see you that Virgo season brought in. This is actually really powerful, because this Libra season, by the time you finish it, will close out with a life defining power shift in the power balance between you and other people. And I cannot emphasize how important this is. This could be the time in a child's life or a young adult's life where their parents don't have the same power they used to have over them. You're going to find that maybe the dynamics you had with certain friends or employers or coworkers shift extremely as you are applying once again the change of your own behavior through Virgo. The end of this integration season. Libra season is always going to be a top 5 season for me. It's the beginning of the breakthrough arc, okay? The breakthrough arc being Libra, Scorpio, and Sagittarius, enabling you to take 6 months worth of activation and integration through the first 6 zodiac signs and effectively break through into your higher success or your higher self so that relative to that year you can harvest these crops and break through with what you gain with a profit, or hence balance. If you had a deficit the last year, you can take the harvest of the integration and balance it, pay back what you needed last year. Huge developments that happen through this season. But once again, the most important nature is breakthrough, and the cardinal direction towards this breakthrough always begins in Libra, the third social sign, the air social sign. Okay. And it was supposed to put air where Libra is, but the cardinal air social sign that will not only have you move forward, but unlike Aries that has you move forward in the individual direction you want to move in, Libra has you move forward in the social direction you want to move in with the right people, side by side, balanced, fair, and equal, moving together, which is lit. Aries is lit, but this is classic. So the reason why I call this the final balance is that relative to the boss battle series that we had starting 2008 with Pluto Capricorn, this puts you in a position to very powerfully break through this square for the last and final time. I cannot emphasize how important this is. Since 2008, everything that you have been balancing has been a more extreme focus towards establishing a much more unique, eccentric, and supernatural sense of yourself that came from an abstract place in your imagination and is now being a real part of how you interact with other people. We, of course, had this very extremely with Uranus that was in Aries. And now that Uranus is in Taurus, it's grounding the nature of this breakthrough. So each Libra season that we stepped into the second boss battle each year established this nature of an extreme level of balance. And so 2022, which brings the final balance with the final square of Pluto, that will be direct, by the way, when this happens, before Pluto goes into Aquarius, will establish 10 plus years of personal growth that will have you remark on how powerfully you have grown and broken through. Some of you will cry literal tears. You're gonna break through things that maybe you felt would take you so much longer to break through, and it's going to really break through your sense of social power that you exhibit personally so that you can do more. Fire sign, sun, and risings are balancing once again, uh, as I said earlier in the sneak peek, the air houses. Aries, of course, since Libra is the seventh house of partnerships. And this is going to really bring to a head how you bring the fullness of yourself directly into relationships with others so that you can share your litness with the world. And Leo, you're going to develop your attitude through the social skills with which you can take your riveting performances and inspire the masses. And of course, Sagittarius, this is going to be you balancing the clique, your key friendships and associates that help you share more of your art with the collective. Earth signs will be balancing earth houses, which is going to be very, very efficient towards coming into a very clear logic on how to move forward on very practical means of your life. Taurus, of course, very key with the sixth house lifestyle balance, which will let you know relative to who you deal with and hang out with, how you can bring your life into more balance, even if that is excluding other people and just balancing with yourself. Virgo, you will be balancing your finances as Libra represents your second house of partnerships. You manifest money with, you build partnerships with people as you live your advanced lifestyle. And of course, Capricorn, Libra is your 10th house. And so, law and order is Cap, law is Libra. Your career will be balancing relative to a whole year's worth of campaigning and bringing into fruition this success so that you can step into a new direction with new career goals. Air signs, you're going to be balancing the fire signs or the fire houses in your chart. Gemini, of course, the creativity that will come in through socially taking the individual ideas you have to connect with like-minded individuals and people. Libra, this is of course going to balance your own self as you will, relative to this recent evolution, adjust how much more you make up for, let's say, these new clothes, as the old clothes don't fit you anymore. And Aquarius, you're going to balance the yearly upgrade of how you see the knowledge you represent in its effect towards relationships with others and the philosophy that you develop applying your individual attitude with other people, because no one will just ever realize that you are always in social experiment mode with other people. They don't understand that level of your genius. And water signs, you will of course be balancing the water houses. Cancer, this focus on your home is going to be more intense than ever because you'll be establishing for the first time basically new social areas you can feel at home at, which is what it means to have Libra in your fourth. What, as a part of your comfort zone, allows you to feel comfortable socializing with the right people? Where do you feel comfortable socializing in? And where do you feel at home in certain social interactions with certain people? Scorpio takes this to a much transcendent level in balancing the spirituality and also beliefs around partnering with people and the unconscious habits that are influenced by other people relative to your unique and individual lifestyle and behavior. And Pisces, you're going to be developing intimacy in your investments, giving your individual value, and how you invest in the right people and relationships to take what you're worth. Like, Father, as you can see here, these are the relevant transits we are going to be looking into. Mainly the new to the full moon in Aries, the new moon in Libra to the full moon in Aries, which I think is one of the most potent new moon cycles other than new moon in Capricorn that we will be having coming into this year. And obviously the Sun square Pluto transit that will fundamentally redefine how much more power you have taken back. Emphasis on taking back power from every single person you are in a relationship with. I am even talking about the relationship between you and the vending machine near you, if there's one near you. You're going to be walking up to that so different. The way you use it, if you use it at all, is going to be so different. It's not a game. Okay. So, given the myriad of all these transits, these are going to be the five that we focus on. But before we focus on these transits, actually, no, we're going to do that after we focus on these transits. And that referring to the Look Into This Boss Battle series. But congratulations to all of you who set intentions with this new moon in Libra. Once again, the significance, I would say, of this Libra season are many. The first of which I would say is the completion of Virgo season. We're going to actually now manifest the evidence of the facts and the analysis and the change of behavior and the implementation of a new routine that we did during September and late August, which was also the completion of Jupiter and its conjunction with Pisces. Huge. The transformation of that perspective and what it looks like with other people, that's what we're doing right now. And I can't really emphasize how important this is because this is also coinciding with, on top of the eclipse with Uranus on a north node, which is as ridiculous as seeing an alien land a spaceship, giving you evidence of things beyond this world. But the completion of the Jupiter cycle that wasn't in Aries since 2010. This is what makes this Libra season unlike every other Libra season that we had before. The whole notion of an outer planet opposing Libra was not too uncommon with Uranus and Aries, which was a very ridiculous period. You could just look back in time. But now that it's in Taurus, impacting Libra cycles with the quincunx considerably, since Neptune is doing the same, it's streamlining your individuality to take into account heightened physiological sensitivity of supernatural experiences. Yes, I just said that. Through your ability to experience that with other people socially. Hence the shared synchronicities. And hence the definition of classic powers, superpowers that develop your super self, especially if you think of Pluto and Capricorn as the construction of the hardware of your God self. And for everyone individually, that's different. Some people's God self could be themselves. Some people's God self could be their community. Some people's God self could be a philosophy, or it's going to be as unique as them. Whether it's harnessed intrinsically or not. But I do want to emphasize that the Jupiter Chiron opposition to this Libra season is so pivotal. It's so importante. Okay. And what this does is make you aware of the nature of evolution that you considerably expanded into. Once again, the last time that Jupiter was in Aries, you were just clearing the end of the Pluto Sagittarius generation. And as Paula just said, Sun and Venus in Libra add another definition with Venus in its rulership through this transit opposite Jupiter here. So, unlike most other Libra transits, the Jupiter nature of expansion here in Aries puts you in a position to very powerfully experience firsthand the nature of how you personally have evolved your character and being aware of this with other people, hence the opposition. Imagine you spent 12 years since 2010 evolving towards a specific objective that you may not even have been aware what that objective was until 2 years into this 12-year evolution process. And now that you have completed it, you're now ready to see, since you started, how much more powerful you are. I will give you a classic example. Okay. Last time Jupiter was in Aries, I didn't even know what natal charts were. I thought I was going to be a theologian. I was out here talking to people about if they've accepted Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior. Ironically, that's not too much different now. I just take a different approach. But relative to back then, when I had just started, by the time Jupiter was in Taurus and Gemini, learning about transits and asking people about their chart, now I can walk up to someone, intuit their sign, talk about their chart without having to pull it up, and then tell me that, hey, that was insightfully accurate. It's so much growth. It expands my ability to do more than I could do when I needed experience and I needed to make mistakes because I still didn't master it. Not that there isn't more to learn, but as you can imagine, that concept alone is huge, as Jupiter being the biggest planet in our solar system. And just like I've grown like so, you have grown considerably like so as well. Okay. Good question. Jupiter in Aries was 2010. Pluto in Capricorn was 2008. Jupiter restarting its cycle in Aries after the conjunction of Uranus and Pisces was 2010. By 2012, where they dropped the zeitgeist and there were all these conspiracy theories coming out, Jupiter was in Gemini. And that started to stimulate a lot of people's minds and beginning this evolution cycle towards basically the end of the world. And now we have concluded that cycle and we're getting ready to step into the beginning of the end of the world. Some gangster shit. What is also important, however, is the opposition of Jupiter here with Chiron is taking into account the extreme vulnerability of showing unique and eccentric facets of yourself, aspects of your evolved self to other people that not only you may have never done before in this way, but having to adapt since this is something relatively new with this new moon, especially that you're going through. Remember, keep in mind, everything that you go through this season is going to represent the final aspect of a narrative that has been kicking off since the year 2000. And that includes everything as a part of society. Hence, we're seeing more of this social distancing being regulated. Okay. The new moon in Libra now effectively kicks in this nature of your it kicks in once again this nature of your individuality through these social channels by activating this new cycle of social power. What's also really amazing about this is that it also takes into account all of that cycle of evolution and brings it into your ability to apply this into an evolved nature of partnerships, meeting people and situations that literally bring you to the next level and vice versa. So, this new cycle of partnerships, in one sense, expands the completion of your individuality you've been developing since Aries in late March. And also in its trine to Mars and Saturn, assertively brings your individual ideas to bring into a part of a collective system and structure that will allow you to push yourself forward through these social channels to strengthen collective support moving forward. Once again, a lot of what is very important to establish here is a very unique understanding of mainly a lot of how to break through into a new way to communicate and express a lot of what you've learned since these previous cycles, as you may find it very challenging to not only maneuver and navigate through this nature of the current narratives that influence how freely you move, but relative to completely mastering 2 to 3 years worth of awakening new power, this is where the sharp definition of expressing these superpowers also come into form, coming through the last and final boss battle in the Capricorn season. This is basically the part of a video game after you have covered most of the bases and you've gotten the items and completed the objectives you need to do for most of the game. So now you're ready to do the final set of trials that will bring you to the final boss. And this is the breakthrough part of a movie or video game or show where you, through extreme pressure and difficulty, come into the height through Sagittarius at the end of this breakthrough arc, an ascension of your power. Boom. Then we go into Capricorn, and then it's the final boss battle. And normally that entails the hero finding that ultimate weapon or reaching that peak of their level so they can fight the boss battle at their best. And this is it. Relative to 12 years of evolution, I want to once again also highlight the importance of the fact that this new moon activation of power also wholly activated this unique sense of how uniquely you are in a position to, at an intellectual and logical level, communicate and take action into expressing, once again, your superpowers. And there's a lot to really say towards this, because the nature of how much more masterfully and powerfully you develop this will bring a much more unique and streamlined understanding of how to relate with others who share similar powers and abilities to you. This isn't 17 years from now when Pluto is like halfway or near the end of Aquarius, where most of these new abilities, quote unquote, new abilities and powers are codified and put in some kind of Pokédex. This is still going to be revolutionary, innovative, very new. Uranus and Taurus, Jupiter in the beginning in Aries. And the beginning of this new moon cycle is going to ridiculously wow you and other people at how powerful you are. As I am speaking this now, you are yourself experiencing the root benefits and effects of your cause on other people, and other people riveting at how your contributions in their life are, for better or for worse, very impactful. So before I really go into the new moon in Libra cycle, the new moon in Libra is the completion of the new moon in Aries, full moon in Libra, and then the new moon in Cancer, full moon in Capricorn cycle through this new moon Libra, full moon Aries. The new moon in Aries was the initial activation of power that, since Saturn in Capricorn and Aquarius, enabled us to gain a lot of knowledge of power, superpowers that we activated collectively. And so, unlike 2020, when we had Aries season, and this was like activating your identity relative to new hardware, 2021 activated an Aries season and updated this identity now due to the operating system you put in. Well, 2022, now that the operating system has been put in, you've decided whether you wanted to jailbreak the operating system. Imagine they gave you a phone and the phone has these weird narratives you have to read through. It's like they're forcing they're forcing their opinions on you, and the phone you use, you have to read the news columns to get through the phone. But then Uranus and Taurus was like this unique jailbreak. If you didn't want that annoying feature, you just download the jailbreak. If it was an iOS system you had, it was called iOS fuck it. If it was an Android system, it was called Android fuck it. If you had a PlayStation system, it was PlayStation fuck it. And this jailbreak allowed you to install a lot of software like IDGAF, I don't give a fuck, or it is what it is, and other such software that helped you break free of these forced narratives. That's the Uranus square to Saturn. 2022 is now the transcendence of your old life before the installation of this advanced hardware. And so the activation that we have done in Aries season is going to prepare for the activation we're going to do 2023 in April, with Jupiter and the Sun conjunct, kicking off the brand new Jupiter cycle. So 2022 is the transcendence as we complete a whole cycle of evolution. And the activation of Aries season while Jupiter was still in Pisces activated this sense of your identity as you're now understanding this new cycle of power, completing all the lessons you are meant to learn relative to this cycle. And now sparking greater conflict as you begin to completely upset the leverage insecure people and forces who felt better because they felt better than you now no longer have, because they can't rely on that sense of insecurity anymore. Okay. So very key. I have to dare say this is so very important in effectively understanding, because the nature of how a lot of this plays out goes such a long way into this year and next year, where you want to see this year, the Aries activation of this year is literally Doctor Strange starting to learn about magic. Okay. Versus next year, where Doctor Strange is already a part of the Avengers, right? So 2022 is the transcendence out of an old lifestyle. The new moon in Aries was the conflict that set up his need to go to Kamertage. And by Gemini season, he was learning magic from the ancient one. Then he had the first boss battle in Cancer season where they invaded Kamertage, and he had to apply what he learned to initially interface with the big baddies. And now Libra season is going to represent the breakthrough of having to apply everything he's learned so far in order to make the transition from Aries, Stephen Strange, who made the initial action to go to Kamertage, to Doctor Strange, the personification of him who has initially mastered the magic he just learned, having to deal with these bad guys. Okay. We're not talking about 2023 when now he's already in the Avengers, right? Spider-Man is already in the Avengers. 2023, you already went through that character arc in 2022 to become your super self. Now, 2023, you're stepping into this revolution as your super self. And now that makes the distinction between this year and next year so important and so pivotal, in that you're going to feel so much more of the growth than ever. And so the new moon in Cancer was the second tier of power that activated deeper understanding to the activation of this power that you just stepped into during this transcendent arc and season. The activation arc activated the awareness, and the integration arc integrated the activation of this awareness to wrap around socially through a definitive mastery and definition of your behavior. So now the definition of this behavior is going to be expressed through Libra. And this is what makes Libra and Capricorn the final two levels of this to complete it. If anything, you want to think from Aries to Virgo, you've created the substance of Coca-Cola, and now you have put the bottle around it. But the job is not done there. You still need to trademark the bottle. You still need to distribute the bottle. You feel me? Like, this is the part now where you get ready to market this bottle to people who don't even know that they need to drink your drink. Okay, before you go into Capricorn and you come into rewards, like, yeah, we just sold 100,000 bottles of this bottle. Let's pop these bottles so we can celebrate. This is it. This is what we're literally about to do. You're literally about to conclude a character arc that took you 10 plus years to develop. And by the time you finish this final boss battle, you'll never have to deal with certain issues that you've been dealing with for years. New levels, new devils, though, but still. Okay. Pluto will go back into Capricorn. So by the time Pluto goes back into Capricorn during the retrograde series, it's going to be after Pluto went into Aquarius. So Pluto going back into Capricorn after it goes into Aquarius and steps into this new chapter is you already realizing this evolved part of yourself, but you're having to revisit challenges of the old world, an old part of you, to which won't be an issue like it was before, but also more of growth to see how they still trip you up, if they still trip you up. It's a huge subtle difference. But the retrograde back is going to be a part of a Pluto Aquarius transit. And so the tone will be different. I'm saying that because this is the final square we will have with Pluto. Cap, you are alive. That is amazing. That is extraordinary. Like, you're alive for this. So many people are not alive for this. Some people aren't even born for this. And so your existence is that revolutionary. And you owe it to yourself to developing the abilities that this new moon in Libra will effectively kick in and off the 6-month arc into the beginning of the end of the world. And I had to make sure that I spent as much time as I could to break that down, because you didn't get this webinar for me to just skirt on the information. A monthly peace report with the peace dealer. We are going to go in. So I just wanted to talk about that opposition, because do a new moon is already iconic, but opposite Jupiter retrograde, it's even more significant that it's retrograde, given the reevaluative nature since it began in Leo season, towards socially developing and integrating literal superpowers through the unique quirk of your own personality and character. Another thing with new moon in cardinal signs is that these are definitions of character, whereas fixed signs in Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, Aqua will develop the quality of your character. And then the mutable signs, the magic and perception of this. These new moon cycles and cardinal signs are you moving in a new direction with who you are. And of course, Libra and social axis is with other people who we will see through this transit either deviate you from your path or align you more to your path. So that's really the first thing I wanted to illustrate relative to a whole series of cycles that we have completed and reestablished. This new moon in Libra, like every new moon in a cardinal sign, is activating power. With the opposition to Jupiter, you are activating superpowers. With the quincunx to Neptune and Uranus, the activation of these superpowers are going to facilitate a very nuanced and extra dimensional sense of supernatural experiences that you can now integrate and break through into your real experiences with other people. Hence, marking 10 plus years of growth that prepare you for the new world and the new age of Eternals. And so the Mercury opposition to Neptune, I think, is one of the most important transits of this Libra season. Right now, it is October 1st, as I am recording live this monthly peace report. So it's happening right now. And you want to see this, just like my Hawaii said, this is so exciting. The reason why you want to get very excited about this level of breakthrough is literally at the peak point of a roller coaster. We're coming into the breakthrough of Capricorn. You're about to come down the exhilarating nature of evolution. Pause for dramatic effect. I really do want to emphasize how amazing and exciting this is, because once again, this happening right now is not only the completion of the activation new moon cycle in Libra before we get ready to break the seed through ground and harvest through the full moon, but it's also facilitating a mutable grand cross. The significance of mutable grand crosses, especially with Mercury and the moon, give us a very quick shift of fundamentally forever changing our perception through experiences that shift the development of our consciousness so that we can, especially in a cardinal Libra season, move forward with these changes of perspectives and perception that will continue to change as we move forward. The nature of this now is so key because relative to the activation and integration of your ability to understand supernatural phenomena, this opposition with Mercury, while the moon opposes Mars direct, is enabling you to come into an ascended understanding and full critical analysis of how the supernatural experiences and evolution of your growth actually plays out in your real experiences with people, and what the full expression of your actual superpowers look like. And once again, this is happening right now. Everything up until this point has prepared you for this moment. And the significance of this opposition with the moon and Mars not only provides this ascended understanding towards the activation of this social power, but the opposition with Mars helps you understand the direction of how you are analyzing and directing your mind's approach towards thinking about literal supernatural abilities you are experiencing real time. This is going to make light and uncover experiences you have always experienced these past 10 years, but through the cumulative struggle of processing what you are experiencing, you may not have even understood what was happening, versus now where you see and understand what's happening with almost full clarity. And in an integrative sense, given the abstract nature of Pisces that exists outside of time, giving you a full on weaving integration of everything you've ever learned and making sense of all the past experiences too. This is so crucial in this development. It's not like we won't have an aspect like this again, but we actually won't. We actually will. Not in this nature, though. So I can't emphasize Mars and Gemini's importance, because this is going to be the activating trigger factor that will actually have you take actions that protrude your abilities. Everything, once again, up until this point, was you activating your superpowers at an initial level, right? Similar to Peter Parker, um, knowing that he can sling webs from his hands. But this transit is now the first time Peter Parker sees how far he can actually sling his webs. Can he go through a town? How far can he go through? Mars in Gemini and Mercury in Virgo is the full integrative element of experimentation and analysis. This will make sense to you if you saw the movie Shazam. So great homework would be to see DC's movie Shazam. I love that movie. It's definitely for kids. If you take it the simplistic nature, I'm gonna say, like, I love that movie in a sense where I watch it like a child. Okay. And once again, in that sense, the significance of this is very paramount, because a very key scene of this movie where a kid is having to learn the ethics of what it means to be a superhero with greater power, greater responsibility, blah, blah, blah. His friend with their YouTube channel had to learn the extent of what they can do with their powers. And so they had to experiment. He didn't know everything he can do. And this was the period through which he was able to activate that. Now, let me kind of delineate the subtle difference between Aries versus Libra. When that scene happened, it was with his friend. He initially awakened that power alone. So he had to deal with the effects of that power alone. That was New Moon in Aries. New Moon in Libra is when he decided to open up to a friend he can trust. And now, with the definition and help of a social aspect, now he's able to expand more what he can do with an opposing influence that challenges and tells him, hey, try it this way. Hey, do it this way. Okay. So whether that partner is your experience or a facet of yourself or another person, okay, or experiences with other people, this breakthrough coming into the opposition of Neptune. The reason why I like that scene is Mercury in Virgo is him writing on the chalkboard, okay, this ability works, this ability doesn't work. And Neptune in Pisces is having a draw out of imagination. Can you light something on fire? Are you bullet resistant? And it's hilarious because you're seeing a child who has a superhuman body having to overcome the psychology that he is no longer just a child. And so he's flinching at a bullet that can't even scratch him. That is this mutable cross. He had to get shot in the face just to recognize, oh, it doesn't even hurt. And that fundamentally changed his perception in light of analysis of activation of new superpowers. Woo! It's just that movie. It happened to him in a scene. This is based on development and progress that took you 20 plus years. Unless you're younger than 20, then you're part of the new generation and you already have a lot of this god level power built in. Ooh. All right. So I just kind of want to emphasize the importance of this transit because this is literally having now. Yes, the discovery in its fullness. Gotta take the leap to know you can fly. And that's the impetus of Jupiter and Aries and Mars in Gemini. It's experimentation. Before Mars goes into Virgo later next year, and you apply this experimentation through, actual strategy, you want to make as much mistakes as you can because we're still just activating this. You know what I'm saying? Like you want to be in a position where you're not afraid to take risks because you're going to be able to see the height of how you can apply these new superpowers with other people, how you can apply your healing gifts towards other people, how you can apply your gifts with the right people. So the moon in Sagittarius is going to show you what your superpowers look like and help you understand it from a higher perspective so that you can align it with Gemini to take new enlightened action off of it. But don't sleep on Neptune because Neptune is what's going to now, with Mercury, help you discern with clear detail the supernatural nature of the phenomena so that you can define it. Some of you, especially moving forward from now, will be able to define phenomena that the old world has called undefinable that you now bring as a part of mainstream culture or underground culture. And now, of course, the full moon in Aries. This full moon cycle is already super legendary. Okay, super legendary. And a lot of its super legendary quality is the Mercury direct that came out the retrograde. Mercury's emphasis can't really be understated because the critical analysis of what you're experiencing with people is what enables you to retain that information. If it wasn't where it was like this, you'd be experiencing everything you experience, but you wouldn't have a way to put into words. You wouldn't have a way to make sense of it. Now you're making sense of supernatural experiences that shakes the ground you and other people experience, specifically regarding what you used to think was possible versus what you're making possible with your actions. So what did you activate in Libra? New superpowers. And what are we going to harvest? A full-on, evolved, fundamental, original understanding of what the identity of your super self is. Pause for dramatic effect. Moving towards the moon in Pisces that will make elements of this dream life real for you. The moon in Aries, and this may be one of the most powerful moon in Aries transits, is understated in this completion here. What makes this a harvest is coming from moon in Aries to the third quarter square. This is going to now harvest the completion of superpowers that you are mastering and integrating into your persona. so that as you now harvest them, you come into individual understanding of how to break through, fully utilizing and balancing your connections with other people through this. So basically, that first quarter square in Capricorn, square of the moon in Libra or sun in Libra, is going to prepare for this second boss battle. The new moon to full moon will create the conflict and build up to the conflict of the second boss battle, similar to entering a level where you're about to fight the boss and you just have to clear the field at first before you reach the end of the field. Then you fight that boss. So this is in the form of fully defining the classic nature of your individuality through your experiences with other people, being willing to challenge collective authority with the uniqueness of your own individual self, which brings in your own unique attitudes and philosophies, which will clash with other people's philosophies, especially during a political season where everyone has more opinions than normal, while still maintaining integrity to stay true to yourself and others. But with Jupiter and Aries, this is now bringing in the expansion of literal supernatural abilities that directly enhance your relationships with other people. Full stop. The Chiron conjunction with the moon here is going to heal the vulnerability that came through because of a character assassination or gaslighting of your power and abilities, most of which is subconscious when you are negatively reinforced psychologically with a lack of positive reinforcement for positive things you do, whether you consciously are aware of it or not. It can have a psychological impact on you negatively. Now you're rectifying the balance of moving forward anyway with integrity and being able to establish the official nature of the righteousness and truth of you, and hence your power and abilities and perspectives. But one thing I can't really emphasize, moving forward from after this opposition with the moon in Sagittarius, where at this point you're seeing what these superpowers look like, the understanding of how to now break through the integrity of this collectively with the moon in Capricorn is going to take the seeds of this new power and it's going to break it through the ground. So moon in Cap, Aqua, and Pisces is going to integrate through collective channels the social element of the power of your presence and how you integrate this with everything and everyone else. So Capricorn will help you dig into those earth sign roots and extremely awaken power out of old methods of feelings. Like you won't feel certain things anymore because they're being replaced with super abilities that you've been cultivating for years. And now the full expression of the knowledge of this through Moon in Aquarius will tap you into the total knowledge of how to further express this and develop this. Moving forward from Moon in Capricorn, by the way, Moon in Sagittarius that begins to show you how to use your abilities, you will actually begin to understand the usage of these powers, Moon in Capricorn. And this is where you now start to express them towards the collective channels you want to express your superpowers with that align with your mission. But it's the moon in Pisces transit that will begin to show you how to believe in abstract qualities of your lifestyle that can make dreams and fantasies real, but also help you understand the full-on integration of how the beliefs that influence how you conduct yourselves with others master this new direction you're moving forward in. Boom, that leads us to the full moon. And as part of that gauntlet, this is where, if you, and this is so cool, basically everything right now as the moon is in Sag that you see ascending in your understanding of where you're taking your development and these superpowers, you're going to direct towards other people with the moon in Aries. You're going to understand how you identify yourself. And Chiron is literally the push key start button that revs this forward. Synchronous. So as we harvest this and move forward from first quarter square, from full moon to third quarter square, this is what's going to lead us into the opening trine to Mars, and hence the second boss battle. This is what's going to bring us through into the climax of the second boss battle. And the significance of this harvest phase from full moon to third quarter square is relative to the initiation, activation, and integration of this Libra cycle, because the harvest phase is happening with the moon sign going from Aries, Taurus, Gemini, and Cancer of individual signs during a social transit. The harvest of this power is effective to you activating new super abilities and understanding how to personalize them and make them into your own unique essence. So this is going to really transform how you understand your own idiosyncrasies that occur in your dealings with other people. That week of the 17th will mark now the evidence of the shift forever of the power balance that you have with other people, in how you respond and react to the ways they connect with you, talk to you, treat you, and in ways that, as you've taken back your power, leverage more of your influence through these people. So very key. Because after that full moon, the moon in Taurus will manifest this transformation, and the moon in Gemini will help you understand with full clarity the individual truth and ideas that you're communicating towards these partnerships, which literally effectively take this to a new level. So that by the time we step to the third quarter square, we get ready to clear the field and step into the eclipse season in Scorpio. But most importantly, the full-on sincere understanding of the depth of how you feel into this sense of your identity and how that impacts your reputation socially with others moving forward. In other words, the evidence that you successfully fulfilled this transit is that when we come into the end of this harvest, where we see all the crops we've harvested in the form of how we individualize this social power, do you feel good about it? If so, you passed. If you feel bad about it, the opposition to Pluto will let you know what you need to transform and change moving forward to rectify this balance. So the moon trining, or Mars trining the sun, is going to make you keenly aware, as this is the opening trine before this retrogrades, into what direction you want to take to develop more of these superpowers, and with who. So key. Especially because by this time, Mercury will leave Virgo and apply a lot of this analysis directly with people. And you're going to be smacking all sorts of people left and right with your insights and with your analysis. Once again, the power dynamics are transforming. And this has a lot to do with receipts, proof of your abilities, proof of your perspectives. The same people who are ridiculing you for saying what you were saying 2020, this is that crucial period where you're turning those tables, and you have more clarity than ever to really decide on this direction that you'll be reevaluating over the next few months. And that leads us to the closing square to Pluto. In order to understand the closing square to Pluto, you have to also understand that we had the opening square with Aries 6 months prior, before the opposition 3 months prior in Cancer. So this closing square, in a lot of ways, is the conclusion phase, climaxing into the final boss battle in Capricorn. And once again, as this is the climax of the final second boss battle, this is the very last time that we're going to have this Libra. Like, the next time Pluto's in Capricorn is going to be after it retrogrades in Aquarius. So this is definitely representative of the market growth you have built to reach here. so that realistically you'll be in a position to break through these power dynamics and the power balance once and for all. This is the crux of breakthrough with the moon in Leo that will have you feel the courage necessary to step beyond relationship dynamics that you've never been in your entire life, especially financially. Now, everything that I'm saying, if you add two and two together, may be under the context for some of you in finances, where some of you may be making more money than most people, or some people, or less money, because it could also be that other side. And this will shift the power dynamics, or you're coming into so much more influence. There's some kind of social capital and social value that is shifting that you are also going to instill through this. Okay. And really, the closing square to Pluto is going to really bring up the application of this next level analysis in its direct breakthrough through Pluto. That's going to represent now how you take this social influence to confront the individual conflicts that you had with collective authority, with other people who share like-minded alignment with your mission to break through this. This is gathering the team for the final boss battle. Boom. That brings us, of course, to the Pluto Capricorn boss battle series from 2008 to 2023. So the reason why, once again, I decided, oh wow, to use this picture of the Constitution gains a lot of credence to the nature of how epic and legendary the last Pluto Capricorn series of boss battles were, the end of which brought the Constitution that enabled the formation of this country that I'm actually performing this monthly peace report live in. A country that affects the economies of every other country in the world and is also affected by the economies of other countries in the world. And so you being alive for this series is nothing short of legendary, factually speaking. And you getting ready to break through into the final level of this really speaks to the nature of how far you have come and where you're ready to go. Once again, the significance of this period where we saw the destruction of corrupt monarchies all over the world to be replaced with corrupt democracies uh, brought in the shift of law, and albeit the well-meaning intent of these revolutionaries during the period to lead people down the right path, it didn't come without its ills. This is just the nature of reality. And now that we're coming out of this previous cycle, we're in a position where people similar to back then are being unfairly represented while still being taxed. And this is making way towards a new revolution. Hence, now with the entrance of Pluto in Capricorn, it brings us during this cycle the end game. This cycle has brought the preparation to end old world infrastructure through the full exposure of government corruption throughout the entire world. And everything that we've seen still pales into comparison of everything we're going to see moving forward. It's bringing the end of old paper currencies that were established since the last time Pluto was in Capricorn. And we may very well see the collapse of the economy as well. This is setting us up for World War III and has also debuted all four horsemen of the apocalypse, sparking March 20th, 2021. Okay. So, relative to that, I think what's very important to illustrate here is the forced reset that we see coming at the end of this Pluto transit by collective authority figures and structures to once again set up this next Pluto cycle. And as you see this picture of these protests, similar to Uranus and Aries, is the individual pushback to the corrupt nature of collective authority, which is solely meant to put in balance and to put in check the nature of individual power. Of course, when collective structures that are supposed to maintain integrity become corrupt, it is up to the individual to restore that, you know what, balance socially. And so, relative to this boss battle series, we have the opposition with Cancer, which is your individual sincerity to stand up against what is wrong, even if you have millions of other cowards who give in to such groupthink. And this has been the huge culprit behind the intensification of psychic attacks your emotional energy body has received since 2008. If we think just energetically, just by the way your actions carve through the philosophy of your vibration, that creates opposition with other people in this world who, by definition, operate with opposite philosophies than you do. And with that being said, given that separation is an illusion, you're still going to pick up on, even if subtly, the energetic nature of this opposition. But you're not a coward though. And so you have every year since this boss battle series extremely stepped forward against this level of opposition. Okay. And it simultaneously helped you confront toxic patterns in your private life so that moving forward, this puts you in a position accordingly to establish this unique element of how powerfully you bring the depth of your soul towards the world around you, so that the purpose of this first boss battle takes the activation of power you unveil through the onion and layer every year, and establishes the 6 month conflict to take your individual stance in this conflict towards the social axis and other people. Okay. It's your response to the mass gaslighting that occurs. And whether you fold like a coward or break through courageous Leo and step into your power. Yeah, yeah. The second boss battle with the closing square in Libra season is now the direct climax of this conflict before we step into the final boss battle, which is the completion of this conflict. And so, whereas the Cancer season establishes this 6 month boss battle arc, it is the Libra season boss battle that breaks you through the old version of you into the new version of you through the new moon cycle. Plural. Okay. The only difference between pre 2008 to post 2023 is that Libra seasons here will no longer feature this intense boss battle. So we can say, relative to all these cycles, the very last one that happened, we can say are the true boss battles. Okay. Something to keep in mind. So, with that being said, this challenges you to take the sincere authenticity of your individuality towards social channels where you're having to connect with social groups that align with your mission against these corrupt collective authority structures. And so the second boss battle allows you to confront toxic patterns in your social life with people who cross the boundaries you draw to maintain your own values and integrity. Once again, classic examples of this are election periods that happen usually during this period, at least in countries like America, where you're having to see literal parties come together to basically attack other parties. Okay. And it's something that happens as a group so that the winner influences the collective rules that affect everyone. And so this requires taking your own individual power to connect with other individuals to create social power. Okay. This, in its significance of it being a breakthrough, following the full-on integration and harvest of a new behavior you align in Libra through Virgo season, this is what prepares you accordingly to realistically step into the ascension of Sagittarius as you break through hardcore elements of how you have stacked new lessons as an individual that you now apply with other people, basically. And that leads into the final boss battle with the conjunction to Pluto at 0 degrees. Not 0 degrees of any sign, but 0 degrees with the sun to Pluto. And this, of course, is the final confrontation against collective authority structures, for better or for worse, whether you're aligning with them or against them. And in context of this Pluto Capricorn series, relative to the God level power you've been awakening, this is really just going to overcome the final level of awakening that will have you fully step into the fullness of your power. Okay. So when we now take into account the final balance 2022, normally I start wrapping up webinars around this time, but this webinar is too important. Okay. I had to go in. I had to make sure that we understand fundamentally the approach we want to take this Libra season in. Libra season allows us to initiate new partnership cycles, but the partnership cycles that you're initiating is for the sole purpose of moving forward with people that you're ready to end the world with. So do you want fake people in your apocalypse team. You don't. You want the realest people ever. You want people who are awakened to who they truly are. You want people who are not going to give in to corrupt authority systems. And these are the people who your spirit and soul are going to guide you to connect with, not in a way that feeds your comfort zone and doesn't challenge yourself to go out socially and to connect with new people, or to show up for real people who invite you out to these experiences. You will shortchange yourself if you do, but you've already sowed the seeds you need to harvest. You just need to show up and reap them. Okay, it's the final part about sowing and reaping. And so the final balance represents the final square that we in Libra season will have to Pluto, the final breakthrough of struggle that many of you need to get so excited about, because you have worked so hard to overcome inhibitions of being truly yourself in a cruel world that wishes to see you fail before it wants to see you succeed, unless it can directly gain benefits from you doing so. And that still didn't stop you from staying true to yourself. And so this represents a breakthrough that has you actualize the cumulative effect of all those years of hard work and difficulty that you had to, in some cases, suffer through. Okay. Like after this, the way you approach social situations and communicate and socialize with people will never be the same relative to the last 6 years of your life. You're going to walk with a different oomph in your step. And this is going to open up so much more opportunity for you to do so much more with people who align with your goals and mission. So awesome. This is the last second boss battle for this Pluto Cap series. Okay. So before I go into how that's going to apply for each of the signs as we conclude this webinar, I want you to really contemplate what it is that you are finally balancing. We're going to go into where Libra season falls in your chart, because that's going to be where you are coming into this final balance. That is also going to be where and how you will be in a position to access and harness this breakthrough into revealing the full updated version of your true super self. Okay. And the most important thing about this final balance is that it represents the full crystallization of the next level of every single one of your abilities and talents, everything you've ever been good at doing. You're now operating at breaking through this in a new level because you've grown, and there's new devils with new levels. So it's like all the superpowers you awakened, this is now wrapping around to form a new classic persona that, once again, you deliberately express with other people. All right. And it's going to answer all the questions that you've had regarding what approach to take towards actualizing this. So if you're prepared for this breakthrough, please feel free to meditate for the next 3 to 5 minutes on what you are balancing, what in your relationships with other people you're ready to break through in dealing with other people. And some of you already had imaginations of this. Like if you can date people at the best way you can, what would that look like? if you no longer had any of the difficulties you had in dating people, in gaining opportunities you want to gain socially, and making and developing friendships, you're getting ready to see more concerted growth and breakthrough in these fields than ever. And you've already, Virgo season has already shown you doing this. So it's not something you're already not doing, but ooh, the best is yet to come. So keep that in mind, and we will resume in like 3 to 5 minutes. Thank you very much for your patience, you all, as we continue along with this webinar. Let's see. Oh, no way. I made that public, huh? If none of you mind, would love your feedback so far on what you feel the quality of this webinar is for you. And if you feel you have really benefited or gained from this webinar specifically. There we go. Okay. You can feel free to comment this in the comments if you're watching the replay, or the live in the comments if you're live. And yeah, on the theme of this final balance as we kick off this very epic breakthrough arc, we're going to step into breaking down the signs. Okay. So first we have Aries. The zodiac sign interpretations, mind you, will apply for sun and rising primarily. You're welcome to also include any other aspects like your moon. The rising will give you an idea of where this will play out, versus the sun that will give you an objective awareness of what's actually playing out. Okay. So for Aries, we know that Libra season is effectively your seventh house. And so this character arc for you is breaking you through the quintessential evolution of your identity, expressed appropriately through the right social channels and other people. Because you're also leading the way as the spark and number one, the difficulty here with Pluto in your 10th will have you overcome any stigma or glass ceilings in what's possible for you to achieve in your career. And now the completion of this Jupiter cycle through your first is expanding more possible of what you can achieve given all this completion and evolution. A lot could be said here too, because as Mercury and Venus polish and define more of your lifestyle, as you integrate these new behaviors with the right people, a huge important emphasis of this final balance for you is taking all of these years worth of growth and coming into a very unique way of how to present this towards people important to you and towards socialization in general, that takes this unique sense of your value and transforms how you present that in your confidence and self-esteem towards other people, many of which will think is crazy, but some of which who see into it as different enough to warrant, an important sense of inquiry. And it goes a long way towards making critical sense of these abstract spiritual beliefs and unconscious habits Neptune is phasing out in your 12th. Because of the eclipse that we're going to have with the nodes in your second and eighth that will pipeline more value and literal money to you, Libra season is preparing you to break through in the expression of how much more powerfully you show up in relationships towards other people, so that this will increase greater trust that will strengthen the completion of this eclipse so that you can redefine your boundaries as you've expanded the quality of your relationships with, once again, the right people. So the second boss battle for you is really going to continue that fourth house breakthrough or establishment of your own roots so that you can break through the nature of how powerful your partnerships are in alignment with your goals and how your goals transform the direction of your career and what that career success innovates in the type of money and value you manifest. Mars, especially, that will get ready to retrograde in your third, will change the attitude and approach with how the trine to the seventh in Libra, you'll directly communicate everything you're communicating as far as your evolution and growth. Taurus, this Libra season is bringing a fundamental shift in the way you forever balance your lifestyle, especially in light of being able to delegate certain work responsibilities to the right people who are ready to take you to the top. This will align so well with the establishment of this integrity of your career, as it will continue to prepare you to unlock the true royal nature of your character. It's a fancy way of saying that you're going to pimp out your lifestyle this season, so you will see immediate returns in whatever businesses or careers you're investing in. And what's going to transform about this season is the unique integration of your personality and eccentric character that will immediately make itself known in your socialization with others and how you behave with other people. Because what people normally do with other people, they're not going to be doing with you. They're going to be doing with you stuff they've never done before. And this is going to provide so much opportunity to take into account the transcendent evolution of Jupiter in your 12th and complete the polished, balanced way that you take unconscious habits and you release them, and spiritual beliefs about who you truly are, and apply them in your behavior with others. This, of course, is preparing you to completely transform the depth of relationships with others, as this eclipse will unlock the full wisdom of what space to hold as you fully step in to the royal nature of your natural beauty and essence and royalty. And with Mars that's getting ready to retrograde in your second house, you're ready to move forward with ideas that you know will bring you more wealth. And the way you communicate this with work associates, or the way you're ready to integrate these ideas with how you deal with other people socially, will align with Saturn in your 10th, so it can complete the knowledge of how to really bring the construction of your success and career world in place. Hence, innovating the job titles that enable you to apply this unique sense of your own personality. And so, whereas Virgo season created the game plan to create elements of your hopes and wishes into your real life, you're now taking action in Libra season to break that into your real life. The second boss battle for you, Taurus, should you choose to accept this, is to break through the old traditions around religion and philosophies that have held you back by now applying the transformation of this new philosophy and way of life you live through actually expressing the actions of those beliefs in your actions with others. So from Libra season to Capricorn season, you're preparing to practice what you preach. Whereas Aries season and Cancer season was you awakening this new sense of approach of how to actually live out this philosophy. And it's very amazing because elements of who you're believing yourself to be, you'll actually start to express more than ever with other people, making it no longer a dream, but actually true reality. Gemini, this Libra season is going to balance the creative social talents and enable you to express all the crazy ideas that storm in your head. And before Saturn gets ready to jump you with Neptune in Pisces, thankfully, we do have Mars that's getting ready to retrograde in your first house, keeping you perpetually with the smoke, but also more sexually active than normal. This assertiveness and hence assertive approach that you'll take towards the trine this makes to the Sun and Venus in Libra will very quickly enable you to streamline a lot of your genius ideas towards the right social channels that may desperately need said ideas or that you may desperately need to express your ideas. And this is going to stimulate very powerful creativity relative to how uniquely you are willing to break through against what is considered taboo and establish traditional norms. The square that Pluto will be making to the fifth breaks you through old comfort zones and trust issues with evaluation of the quality of your ideas in the face of those who wish to basically just get you twisted. And the proof of this breakthrough that you have completed this boss battle is going to enable you to express more of your creative and sexual talents in ways that you may have felt too inhibited to do so before because of eighth house Capricorn walls that you've built. Without having to break down any walls, this is really more so going to speak towards how much more talented you polish these social skills and creative talents in defining the expression of your ideas so that you can break through the transformation of how incredibly you practically and effectively deal with other people. A lot of what you break through this season will really set the stage for the enhanced quality of wealth that you make. Okay. So keep that in mind because the fifth house quality of Libra is going to integrate based on the social actions you make the higher philosophy of knowledge with Saturn in the ninth that will strengthen how magical you are experimenting with your personality. Okay. And Jupiter in your 11th is going to expand the pool of unique friends that you can really express these creative talents to. And similar to Cancer, it's going to break you through into new ground. Speaking of Cancer, Libra is going to fully break you through old comfort zones. I really like talking about the fourth house Libra because fourth house for Cancer is its house of rulership or association. And so when you think about the psychology of what it means for Cancer to have Libra in the fourth house represents where you're at home. It's the quality of how you treat your home environment. And so for Cancer, it's when they're in a comfortable position and at home where they can socialize. And so, as homebodies, when a Cancer wants to socialize with you, they're probably going to invite you to their home, or they're probably going to be in a place that they feel comfortable enough to socialize in. The challenge here is the breaking through of old comfort zones as you redefine the nature of how much more sharply you not only sort through your private life, but understand more the soul level of communication that bridges the extreme challenges you're having in partnerships with other people. And the most important facet of this that we will revisit 2023 is effectively Jupiter that is transiting your 10th house. And this has been expanding the level of career success and pushing forward this transformation of your relationships into expanding your legacy than ever before. And so the allocation this will make to now influence how you socialize with people private in your life or privately socialize with people fundamentally creates the setup for the second boss battle for you. Namely, how comfortable can you be balancing the extreme pressure you're gaining from this Pluto opposition? Because I will maintain, out of all the zodiac signs, I really do believe you are going through the most extreme and harsh nature of this opposition with Pluto. It's really black and white here. You're dealing with people who have extreme integrity or they have extreme lack of integrity. And the nature of how this can intensely affect your boundaries can be borderline rapey. So this is causing you to have to enforce very advanced boundaries. And so we see here with this Waterhouse Grand Trine the nature of how uniquely you strengthen the knowledge of these boundaries in your dealings with others will influence the direction you set these new comfort zones and how much more powerfully you hold space with who you socialize with, as that will all charge and energize the transcendent nature of Mars actions activating enlightened beliefs around how exactly you see into the understanding of how you live this through in your lifestyle and show other people the nature of these beliefs in your service to them. Okay. So it's very, very powerful. Pluto in the seventh is also enabling more of that extreme force in the further definition of these boundaries. But you have to be careful because, Neptune in the ninth is going to show you the unseen supernatural dynamics of people directly throwing psychic attack to you. And you can't wait for it to make sense to other people. Mars in the 12th, if anything, is taking that hidden action to deal with it before you get dealt with. So that second boss battle is the last step before you fully confront all these extreme forces in your partnerships so that you could fully reclaim the power over your relationships with others and fully express the incredible nature of your partners. Because people are coming for Cancer. I don't think people know people are coming for Cancer. Like, it was really bad with the Saturn opposition. But now the Saturn's focused on Leo. The Pluto is still there, though. It's just Cancer has leveled up so much. So it's not like when it started. Libra is going to really enhance your social skills and balance how powerfully you can express a lot of these social ideals to maximize the inspirational quality of how you have overcome the opposition against you, especially given the narratives of the collective versus Leo, whether some of you are dealing with government cases or public opinion In the case of those of you who are innocent and in integrity, you're coming into this success story. Like you're going to be able to now break through a lot of the inhibition of what you could say socially, because now a lot of these things are brought into the light. And this also reflects doubly so if you're guilty and you are found lacking integrity. This is also going to break through in the way you have to communicate that too. So, without being very biased, this is really going to enable you to, with Saturn in the seventh, strengthen key partnerships that will continue to raise the standards of important relationships that will drive you through the eclipse lesson of your destiny. And I can't emphasize this enough, because the pure depth of wisdom you're unlocking in your private world is going to innovate a lot of wisdom you've gained from your ancestry that won't make sense for some of you until now, that you might have been left in the dark about. Normally, something will happen like this when your independent business makes so much money, and now random people come out of nowhere like, hey, we're relatives, maybe, kind of, not really. So this is just going to like clear off the straight um Venus and Mercury that are going to polish your second and third, will also really prepare a lot of the evaluation from the funds you'll allocate and enable you with so much more swag to express to the social channels as a social performer yourself the next direction you're getting ready to take. Once again, because this will also be the last year, Saturn will be in your seventh. And so it's going to really mediate and mitigate the results of these decisions made in partnerships. And with Neptune that's in the eighth here, you really just want to be mindful about who you trust now more so than ever, because the actions you take socially will really expose whether you're around some snakes. There's going to be a very cognitive dissonant incongruence between these social actions you're taking and boundary issues that, with the fluidity of Pisces, will expose unseen elements with Neptune. And it's going to be very dramatic for you, Leo. You won't have much time to take action. Neptune here is squaring Mars and Gemini. So you want to make sure that these quick actions you're having to take are based in integrity and not out of some desire to look right to the wrong people. That was a bar. Oh my God. Okay. Other than that, this second boss battle for you is going to break you through the implementation of these social skills and how you can extremely integrate that into this lifestyle of integrity and luxury and greatness you're gearing to live. And that's really the struggle of Libra season here. This intensity of Pluto in your sixth, that clashing with the Libra season, is breaking through seeds, but with the pressure of a harsh and weather environment, which will make those seeds harder to break through. But you got this. Okay. You don't want to let any relapse in old behaviors get in the way of new attitude that you can fully break through, especially with Jupiter that is expanding the evolution of the ideas and philosophy around your identity and who you are. The, because you've evolved how much higher you see yourself in relative to the actions you've taken, now the way you present that attitude socially is being reflected here. And so that's going to really break you through how you start to really behave this before we come into the final boss battle where you fully break through in this sense of your beliefs. And behavior and routine. Virgo, Libra season is going to help you balance your finances and get the bag. Saturn has been innovating with Uranus the construction of advanced lifestyle techniques as you pimp other people's lifestyles and thus your own. It's one thing to have ideas and knowledge about how to advance your lifestyle, it's another thing to actually take action on it and actually create the construction to do so, what you've been doing since 2021. It's the innovation of the quality of higher education you're teaching and receiving that's now helping to innovate how you adjust the construction of this lifestyle, which gives you full mastery over your routine, enabling you to live anywhere and utilize a sense of your routine so that now that the North Node has gone through your 10th house and changed the destiny and approach towards your career 2020 2021, you can now take action towards this change of your idea. And that retrograde is going to reevaluate how you start to activate this career success now that everything since 2021 has been set in place. Some of you might have needed to adjust the direction you take in the higher education by changing majors, or how you want to express your what it is, what message you put out there for your career. Super huge. I would say, once again, Virgo, you're one of the top 5 signs that are really going through this period, because once Saturn opposes you, literally the whole world is going to be at your neck, and people are going to have to learn the hard way that you didn't come here to play around. So Venus going through your first and second is effectively polishing your finances now that you have actualized the evolution of your partnerships through Jupiter going through your seventh, and have reestablished the nature of your own self expression, given 6 months of this evolution with other people. Libra is going to represent the social actions you take now that you've evolved your own individual sense of investment value. The partnerships that you manifest with and the value of the partnerships you step into will now align to the construction and work you put in to creating this new advanced lifestyle habit. And that's immediately going to have you take action in your career. So I really truly believe you're going to be one of the signs that really comes into the most effective career breakthrough, but more so in the emphasis of your finances. And that's what leads to this second boss battle with Pluto in your fifth. This building of confidence through these social channels will break you through how much more incredible focus you put towards your talents. Because the fifth house Capricorn with Virgo isn't like fifth house Leo with Aries. Fifth house Leo with Aries is competitive, but Aries just wants to have fun. Aries is more concerned with having fun than winning, even though Aries wants to win. Fifth house Capricorn is an intense perfectionist quality of creating the greatest. So when the fifth house Leo creates, they want to have fun playing guitar. When the fifth house Virgo creates, they want to play their creation the greatest ever, which there's a lot of stress that goes into that. And now the nature of self esteem needed to harness that is going to challenge you to break through trust issues with Jupiter in the eighth that expand how assertively you can draw these boundaries. And this has opened up more space extremely for you to manifest more quality in your partnerships so you can make more money. Neptune opposite you in the seventh is the nebulous influence that holds space for divine partnerships, but can bring out a very deceptive quality in people who are fact resistant and lie to themselves to lie to you. But as long as you stay true, this will actually end up just working in your favor as you set people straight with the reality you represent. Libra, this season is going to balance your self expression relative to the expansion Jupiter is getting ready to reestablish in 2023, taking the 6 month cycle, and rather 6 year, cycle since 2017 when Jupiter was in your sign, and express market growth in your personality and behavior to integrate with other people to effectively evolve every single one of your partnerships because you've grown. And so now the nature of your evolution will evolve other people. The reason why this is very key is that with Pluto in your fourth, the extreme nature of difficulty in your private life has made it hard for you to relate truly with other people. In fact, Pluto in the fourth isn't even really a bad thing. I don't want to present it that it's bad. It's just very difficult. The extreme nature of this will make it harder for other people to understand what you're breaking free out of, because this is the last time you'll have to break through this greater definition of yourself with elements of your family or private life that need to stay private. But if we think about every Libra season as unpeeling another layer of the onion, then what's very crucial here is the transcendence of the way you live your lifestyle and routine in alignment with your ideals, enabling the 12th house transit of Mercury and Venus to crystallize the analysis of real practical approaches you can integrate into the way you behave socially with others, bringing elements of your imagination and dream life into reality. It's subtle, but it's actually genius, especially because as you release these old unconscious habits, it's also going to take abstract supernatural themes of how you live your life and break down the science analytically of how to hack reality through these measures. And I'm saying supernatural, but it doesn't have to be super. It doesn't have to even be abstract or extreme like that at all. It could be very simple and basic, but it's very important as it will uplift you out of old ways of analyzing your reality. With that in mind, the T square that triggers with Mars in your ninth house quintessentially challenges you to ascend the nature of how you communicate what you believe is the truth in every single one of these circumstances. And that's where the investment channels that the eclipse is establishing with Uranus in your eighth will innovate with crypto as a fine example, where you invest the money you're unlocking in Scorpio and the pure wisdom you're manifesting to increase education on how to invest in said right channels. This, once again, is important because Jupiter, that's actively expanding your reach towards other people, will put you in a position more than ever to really gain so much from the nature of how uniquely and how powerfully you turn the key and push button start on this new self definition of you. So the second boss battle is breaking through completely in any personal or private inhibitions and comfort zones that now enable you to really be more of yourself for the right people who need you to be all who you can be. Scorpio, we do have the eclipse that's going to come into your sign coming into November. And so this Libra season is going to transcend you out of old lifestyle patterns through the awareness of socialization with other people. That will make you aware of unconscious habits to sharpen the raw nature of how individual and unique your routine is forming to be. Yeah, I did that. I just channeled that right there. And so Uranus in the seventh has been innovating with the North Node there, the unique quality of partnerships that can match your level of wisdom. And I can't really emphasize enough that I mean, I know so many Scorpio and Taurus risings who are divorcing or coming into significant partnerships, or they have composite Taurus rising or Scorpio rising or sun moons who are coming into partnerships. So like a lot of the partnerships you're forming are going to be significant for the next 10, 20 years. And it goes a long way towards the greater authoritative, knowledgeable construction of this inner world with Saturn in your fourth, because the connections you transcend with Libra in the 12th will add more into strengthening this private world that you are effectively managing and creating. And that will lead into the boundaries you transform with Mars in the eighth. Because a lot of hidden insight in your relationships with others will show you the completion of the effect of individual actions you took to take and evolve your career and lifestyle to the next level since May. That's the coolest thing here. The way you socialize with people and the way you dish the tea will take into account the subsequent 2023 evolution of your lifestyle coming into Aries next year that will apply into how those elements of your routine take your relationships with others to the next level. And a lot of the unconventional opposition you gain with Uranus will help you break through with the second boss battle, how uniquely you take elements of these spiritual beliefs or unconscious habits and begin to transform a much more grounded, practical approach to your attitude and incredible skills. This is actually very key here because there's certain elements and results from how you've evolved your lifestyle that you will see change how you believe partnerships with others should be had. And this will now break you through the transformation of certain attitudes and skills you really collectively present with others. And that will lead into that full on transformation Capricorn season. Sagittarius, Libra is going to balance your friendships. But more importantly, it's going to take into account how much better you are at what you do. Because Jupiter has been evolving your talents, and next year it's going to fully evolve your talents. And so let's take rapping or playing guitar, right? This Libra season, you've been evolving your playing guitar for 5 months. So now you're going to be around your homies, and now you're just casually playing the guitar or you're rapping, and they're like, yo, what happened? I mean, you were always dope, but this is good. You're presenting your art and your creativity to friends and associates that align with all your creative gifts. And this is expanding your social circle. And this is expanding your reach like never before. And this is putting you in a position to come into the results of how you've changed the behavioral approach of the social work you instill as a collective god or goddess in your career. In other words, how you analyze the career success and goals you instill and make so that you can accomplish them or achieve them with the right people. But this is really more so about seeing how much more friends are receptive to how much better you are at new directions of your creativity. And a huge key here is the grand air trine with this connection of this social circle with the strengthening of your skills with Saturn in the third and the strengthening of knowledgeable ideas that you'll assertively share with people in the seventh. Mars in the seventh is going to add a more assertive and magical approach to how much more direct you are with people. And that's going to be able to strengthen. Like, if we didn't have Saturn and Mars here, you would express these abilities of your talent, and people will be like, wow, that's amazing, and then move on. But Saturn the seventh is going to strengthen this so that it's a part more of your friendship. It sticks and it quintessentially develops the direction you take your partnerships with other people. It's also going to add for much more sexual opportunity with other people. So if people are throwing that at you more, you know why. The second boss battle with you is going to transform inhibitions in your self-esteem, because people are going to more people than not are going to be listening to the work you're doing or the creative talents you're doing, like, yo, you're legit. Wow, this is so much better than you used to do. that's clearly going to make you feel better about yourself. It's clearly going to transform the worth you have in yourself. And that's how you want to see from 11th house of other people's opinions to the second house of your value. Boom. Okay. And now Capricorn. Libra season is your 10th house of career. This is the quintessential breakthrough of career goals that, because of the change of behavior and approach of your philosophy in Virgo season, this changed the direction you now take to achieve success in your career in Libra. Evidence through Mercury and Venus's polishing of your 9th and 10th house so that you can analyze more critically the direction you're taking with the right people. This is unique, unlike any other sign, because you are the driving force of this second and really full on boss battle. So, unlike other people who are going to interact with Capricorn as a collective authority, you are that collective authority. And so, this is more about you maintaining integrity with outside influences that will affect the way you extremely socialize with others. And the key here is Jupiter that has evolved your fourth house. In many cases, some of you have moved or you've renovated your inner world. So, of course, moving is going to impact considerably how you go about your career. Because after you come home from work, you have to go home. So, of course, the space you're at is going to impact how you take yourself out to work. That's just astrology science. And the key thing here is Saturn in your second. That's strengthening your net worth through your network. And the strengthening of your net worth and the knowledge with which you manifest is enabling you to strengthen the magical and assertive ways you apply enlightened ideas to your lifestyle. Mars in your sixth energizes different ideas you can apply to live your life that will directly impact what? You guessed it, Libra. And so you'll immediately apply that into directly coming into the W in your career. It's kind of like Virgo that's getting the bag, but finances for you is going to be a lot more long term, as the directions you're taking in your career will affect your network. Okay. And thus strengthen your net worth. Boom. Aquarius, Libra is your 9th house. And Pluto, that's in your 12th house, is effectively breaking you through the sense of paranoia you may have had, especially when it comes to dealing with collective authority figures and structures, especially when it comes to incarceration, especially when it comes to feeling gang stalked, and especially when it comes to supernatural abilities and powers that you're no longer inhibited by having to nerf yourself in order to actually utilize. Saturn in your first house is strengthening the knowledge of your self-expression, similar, of course, to starting a new business, which takes 2.5 years to get off the ground. And so this is adding more integrity to how you express yourself. So Jupiter in the third is evolving the nature of how you express the authenticity of your attitude and original skills so that you can bring more of that rawness, but in a more structured way as you have more integrity expressing yourself. The key thing here is, of course, the way the individual definition of your attitude that you established 6 months ago is now completed by those actions you take socially to complete in the philosophy you have with others. Let me break that down. The attitude you developed by yourself 6 months ago, you are now applying with other people to develop your philosophy. The stuff that you thought about yourself, well, you're now doing with other people. And as you see it actually applies, It's going to now redefine what you believe about socializing with other people. But realistically, this is what you're going to be teaching others because you already know. That's your motto. I know. So this is Libra season is great social engineering for you because you get to teach other people around how much your own skills have evolved and being able to add to this innovative sense of sociology just by being you and playing people like chess pieces. Now, Mars in your fifth house is going to be the radical, innovative discovery of more assertive direction towards the development of your talents. That's what's going to fuel more of the passion that goes into discovering the transformation of these social philosophies as you strengthen more the knowledge of how your self-expression basically engineers all of this. All, and I mean all of this. So that second boss battle for you as a collective, like Capricorn and Sag, comes at this from a totally different direction. And you're having to deal with the balancing of how the completion of new skills and attitudes with other people as you see the results of how they work with other people influence beliefs you've had. Once you see these new ideas work with other people, it's going to inhibit old doubts you had about what you know yourself to be and what you can do. And prepare for the final boss battle where you shatter those doubts once and for all. Woo! And finally, last but not least, we have Pisces. Okay. Libra season is y'all eighth house. And so it is a season rife with trust issues and having to realistically and truly draw classic boundaries, especially because Jupiter has sneak peeked in your second. 2023 will bring the radical establishment of the full on evolution of your worth. That's like coming into 100,000 extra dollars. And now it's like, damn, I can't trust this person and that person. They're going to ask me for so much more money. How do I draw these boundaries? How do I respect my value so that my time in dealing with others is respected? Welcome to Libra season. And this is not going to be like other Libra seasons for many reasons, but Neptune in your first house creates this fog around you that makes it near impossible to deal with other people or for others to deal with you because they never really know what version of you they're dealing with. This can work towards your advantage in many ways. And it, for the same reason, can work to your disadvantage. So just be very mindful of this because the way you're about to level the fuck up is going to terrify so many people. And it's going to make it very clear for many people around you that they had better invest in you now or regret not doing so when that price goes up. I'm going to say that again. Like this year and next year is very pivotal in that you're going to start to increase your price, but you're going to skyrocket your price next year because next year is going to bring in the full implementation of physical proof that justifies the price raise. And the way you deal with people is going to be fundamentally different as it's been constantly evolving. Uranus in your third here is actualizing the transformation of these unique philosophies with the North Node in your third, but it's really fleshing into fruition the unique nature of these skill sets that take abstract qualities that were just ideas and are now real. They're no longer concepts. And so Libra season is a sneak peek of showing this to other people and basically letting them know, hey, I'm about to raise the price. That's basically in another like I'm about to raise the price. So this is your last chance. Like that's basically it. And Saturn in the 12th house is key here because this is going to strengthen a lot more of the knowledge you're transcending sociologically so that Mars can expand more of the comfort zone of who you truly feel comfortable sharing more of these secrets with. Once again, now this is so different for Pisces. Like Pisces flips on its head this whole vehicle of socialization. Normally, socialization is what enables us to kind of express more of our abilities. But Pisces comes at this as the ascended master from behind the veil. So the second boss battle for you is really transforming the integrity of who you consider a real friend. You're going to be in positions where friends and associates in your life are tempted to take advantage of the boundaries you've drawn for them. And this is going to really lead into a hyper advanced need to draw new boundaries because, once again, what you're worth is so much more. And many of you, for the first time, may be sharing resources with other people, and it's going to complicate a lot of who you think should be involved in these decision making processes. So this will help you balance these dynamics to prepare you for 2023, where you're fully going to commit to the direction in which you evolve this sense of your value and make so much more money. It's not even funny. Anyway, that is the monthly peace report for Libra season. We slid through that. I'm very grateful for you investing in this monthly peace report. Scorpio season will bring the beginning as we transcend out of this Libra season with this balsamic phase and transcend the intimacy that goes into strengthening all of the social actions you took through Libra season to express these new superpowers and prepare to unlock what will be one of the most innovative and relevant eclipse cycles we've ever had in, dare I say, 3 centuries. Yeah, I said it. So, yeah, if you're ready to fully transform everything you know about yourself to get ready to ascend into literally your higher self, pat yourself on the back for getting this far. And I hope you are prepared to brave through this second boss battle. In conclusion, this is the final balance. This is the very last time that we're going to square Pluto. It's never going to happen again after this. We're going to have to wait literally 256 years before we have a square series like this again. So you really want to take stock of how much you've grown. You really want to take stock of everything that has led you to this point, and you want to be willing to go the extra mile to fully break through. Okay. This is everything that you personally have worked hard to get to, and you will be more in a position than ever to, as you're guided through these transits, work with the right people to prepare you for this next 6 months that will lead into Saturn and Pisces and Pluto Alco, which brings in the end of the world. So thank you so much for tuning in. I really do look forward to your feedback, and any testimonials you may have, feel free to comment that in the comment section below. Y'all stay blessed as always, and until next time.